we are back with some more cards. This time we got Warrior, which it looks like they are very much trying to push Mech, Dragon, Pirate deck for Warrior. So let's get into that. Let's talk about that. So we got the Ringmasters Baton, 2-cost 1/3. Weapon, obviously. After your hero attacks, you give a mech, dragon, and pirate in your hand, +1/+1. A lot of value, honestly, right off the bat for the deck that is being pushed, which I think is very nice. It very much goes with the Circus Amalgam, which is all of everything, which obviously would go into that deck. But it's just this, even looking over all the stuff, I still do not believe there's enough support for the deck. To be completely honest, I don't think there's enough support for that deck. I know it's sad. It makes a lot of people sad. It's like, oh, it would be such a cool concept. Yeah, it would. But I just don't think there's enough support for it. The weapon itself is weak and lackluster, but the benefit is very good. It's just, there's not enough support. So I'm going to give the card a 4 out of 10. And you will not see it around, most likely. Tent Trasher. 5-cost, 5/5 dragon with rush. Cost 1 less for each friendly minion with a unique minion type. So again, it's going off of that same thing where it's a bunch of different kinds of minions. Obviously, you would also run N'Zoth in this deck because he resurrects each different minion type. So, I mean, because you have different minion types, it's cheaper, which is good, but it's just there's not enough support. Again, this card overall isn't bad, though. You could probably just run this in a relatively normal dragon deck if you really wanted to. Maybe it would be pretty useful in Control Warrior, to be honest. But most likely not. So I'm going to give this card a 6 out of 10. And you probably won't see it this expansion. Maybe Control Warrior will experiment with it, but probably not. Bumper Car. 2-cost 1/3 mech with rush. Death Rattle. Add 2 1/1 riders with rush to your hand. It's not bad, but it's not great. I like that the riders have rush. It's just like, hey, you broke my car, and then someone comes like running at you. I think it's okay. Not amazing, but I mean, I don't think it really fits into any current deck right now either. Bomb Warrior doesn't care. Skippy Bomb Warrior doesn't care. Control Warrior doesn't care. So, I just don't think it really fits into anything. And the card is honestly a little lacking. 2-cost 1/3 with rush isn't great. And then when you get 2 1/1 riders with rush to your hand, they're each going to cost 1. So it's really not that great a value either. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. I don't think it's that good. And you probably won't see it this expansion. Feat of Strength. 3-cost spell, give a random taunt minion in your hand, +5/+5. Maybe the Control Warrior would consider it, just to have some big thing on the board to help you control the board a bit more. But it's not, I mean, the value on it is really darn good, but Warrior doesn't really care about this card too much. Because there isn't really any, like, taunt Warrior right now. This maybe would help push it a bit more, because there is still other taunt stuff from the other expansions. But it's just, I don't know if there's enough for it. They haven't really tried pushing for it much. This isn't much of a push either. It's like a little nudge, if anything. So, I mean, it's not a bad card. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And you may not see it in any decks this expansion, to be honest. Minefield. 2 cost, deal 5 damage, randomly split among all enemies. Or all minions, not all enemies. Honestly, a card that would very much see play in Control Warrior because it helps you control the board very early if you don't have any answer for it right away. And it's not bad. 2 cost dealing 5 is honestly pretty good. Because it's randomly split is why you can kind of get away with that. But generally, if you don't have anything on the board, there's no downside, and it's just a very strong card in that case. So I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10, and you will most likely see it in Control Warrior. Stage Dive. 1 cost, draw a rush minion, corrupt, you give it +2/+1. It's not bad. I don't know if there's necessarily really anything Warrior cares about for this card. There might be. I don't think Bomb Warrior cares too much, and Control Warrior probably doesn't care too much about it either. So I just think this is... I mean, it's not a bad card. It's fine, because it's nice, cheap, and easy to corrupt. So I think it's honestly a pretty good card. It just doesn't really have any place in the current meta, sadly, for it. So I will give the card a 7 out of 10, but you probably will not see it this expansion. Stagehand. 2 cost, 3/2 mech. Battlecry, give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. Also could be probably another card that you could put in the mech dragon pirate deck. And it'd be okay. I mean, in Wild, you can have like a lot of fun with this type of thing. You go mech, dragon, beast, pirate, and murloc. That's what you can do. You can do 5 different minion types, and it would be a great old time. I think the card is honestly relatively decent. You probably wouldn't even have to necessarily play the 3 minion type deck. You could probably put it in maybe some other ones. It could be okay in Bomb Warrior, honestly, because it's a mech and there's, I think, some mechs. Oh no, the Clockwork Gnome is gone and that. Never mind. Yeah, so maybe it would just be decent and just kind of, if you need it, you can kind of throw it in because it's not bad and it's a decent amount of, and it gives you a little bit of value. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. And you may not see it this expansion. You might see it from like budget decks possibly. But that's probably about it. Sword Eater. 4 cost, 2/5 pirate with taunt. Battlecry, equip a 3/2 sword. Again, we're pushing for the 3 minion type deck. And honestly, this card is, even if you're not trying to do that, it's a pretty darn good card. Because a 3/2 weapon is generally valued at 3. So you're getting a 2/5 with taunt for 1, technically, is what we're putting that at. And I think that is a good amount of value. I think this could see play in many different kinds of warrior decks just because of how good it is. Like, you wouldn't even need to necessarily run that other kind of deck. You just throw this in there because it's good. So I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. And the type of deck you'll see it in is, you could probably see it in like most warrior decks. Because it's just good. Honestly, just good. Ringmaster Watley. 5 cost, 3/5 legendary. Battlecry, summon. You draw a mech dragon and pirate. If it was summon a mech dragon and pirate, that would be really good. I think that would make the deck work a lot more. But you instead just draw them, which is still pretty useful. A lot of card draw, but there's just not enough support for it. The mech dragon pirate deck. I'm so sorry to tell you all, but I just don't think there's enough support for it. There might be way down the line when someone figures out how to do it, but right now, no one, I don't think, is figuring out how to do it right now. It just doesn't I just don't think it works at all, sadly. So I'm just... I mean, the card itself is not bad, because you get a lot of card draw. So I am going to give this card a 6 out of 10. And you may see this expansion, but you probably won't. Because I just don't think it's going to work. I don't. E.T.C. God of Metal. 2 cost, 1/4 after a friendly rush minion attacks. Deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. Honestly, I'm still trying to understand what they were thinking when they made this card. They're like, oh yeah, 2 cost, 1/4. We've done that before. Yeah, because it was armor. This is dealing damage to the enemy hero. It's going to die so quickly that it doesn't really matter. Also, you have to center your deck around rush stuff then, which then limits your options by a lot. So really this card is not good, like, at all. So I'm going to give this card a 2 out of 10. And you will not see this expansion. You will probably never see this card, like, ever. So that'll be the end of the warrior cards. Next time I will be talking about the warlock cards. I'll see you then.